What is up, my friends? How are we? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda, where I thought I'd just mix it up a little bit with the intro. I know some people don't like the song, some people do, so I thought, hey, let's try and make some people smile with a little fun intro. And again, thank you to our friends at 44 Tunes who made that for us. Really do appreciate their great work. So yeah, we good. Loads to talk through tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It's a jam-packed day of Liverpool news. Let's just say that. A couple of bits and pieces just to go through at the start before we get stuck into it. They were real recorded dance moves as well, because I definitely can do all of them. So look, ladies and gentlemen, a few things that I want to say to you guys. Firstly, thank you to everyone that gave us feedback and watched the interview, or debate I should say, with David Lynch earlier on. Always lovely to hear all of your thoughts and feedback on stuff like that. I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was a great chat, to be honest, and I thought it was done in good spirits as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Loads coming up over the next few days here on the channel. But again, I want to just remind everyone, I won't be around Saturday for a watch-along of the game. I have a prior family engagement that I have to hold up to. So I won't be around for the game on Saturday. But I will be around Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that one. Right, let's get stuck into the first super chat of the day from Rusba. Thank you, my friend. Rusba said, very disappointed at Chiesa's lack of meaningful contribution. At this rate, I will reach match fitness before he does. I think Hughes got it wrong. So I'm glad you said you'd reach match fitness before me, mate, because I'm not getting to match. I'm not match ready. Let's be honest. I'm not match ready. So yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate you. So look, tonight what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Kvaratskhelia. Of course we are, because when Ornstein mentions it, you take it semi-seriously. So we're going to be speaking about that. We're going to be asking, is there a pathway there for maybe a little swappy? Because Napoli are looking at Federico Chiesa as an alternative option should they lose Kvaratskhelia to either Liverpool, PSG or somebody else. We're also going to be speaking tonight about Darwin Nunez, Harvey Elliott, and lots of other interesting pieces. So, you know the way... Let me just have a look-see. One second. Oh, Joyce has said it. Whoa, oh, it's just gotten serious, ladies and gentlemen. Get out the hammer, break the glass. Paul Joyce has just tweeted, Liverpool are monitoring the situation of Napoli winger Kvaratskhelia and may decide to act if the Georgia star looks to move this month. Oh, hello. Hello, sailor. Look, I can't help but smile on this one. I'm sorry, I can't. Look, I don't want to hear all the rational, reasonable, sensible arguments about having too many left wingers and all this other stuff. I don't want to hear it. What I want to hear is, that's brilliant, let's jump on board this and let's get on board HMS Pistol League, maybe with Kvaratskhelia along the way. So we'll debate that tonight as well. We'll ask what the reasonable expectation is for this January transfer window. So yeah, wow. I mean, it was surprising enough when I'd seen it from David Ornstein, and we'll go through and read out what David Ornstein had to say in it. But when you've got Joyce coming in as well, stuff getting serious when Paul Joyce is stepping in with a comment. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the possibilities of where this may end up. Now, let me just say something off the bat, up front, early and honestly. This best not be a little tickling of the fans' nuts with other disappointment and us left with blue balls. That better not be happening. So if indeed we are looking to do something, then we best do it and not be just talking about it, monitoring it, and all the usual stuff that we get lured into in a transfer window. So I do hope that there's something serious to this, but it still doesn't solve the midfielder conundrum for me, which is the big one. But look, it is an exciting thing. So where to start off today, ladies and gentlemen? Do we start with a Harvey Elliott conversation? Because there's also lots of interest coming in from within the Premier League and the Bundesliga for Harvey Elliott, so we can talk about that. We're going to talk about the fact that by the way, can we all just agree on one thing? I started the Thierry Henry, Mohamed Salah debate. Can we all just agree with that? Because now everybody's jumping on board. The Premier League are talking about it. They're tweeting about it. Fans are debating it. And I just want to say, you're all very welcome. Because initially, hand on heart, this started off as me trying to bait Arsenal fans. That was it at first. But then when I delved into the numbers more and more, I started to see that, you know what? there's a genuine conversation to be had here about Mohamed Salah and Thierry Henry. So I'm delighted to see that people are starting to have this conversation, because I was surprised when I started to look into the underlying numbers. What started off as a joke, as a bit of a bait, ended up being a genuine thought process of, wow, this is actually far closer than I thought initially. So we'll talk about that as well. Loads to get to. I have a couple of super chats I need to catch up on, so bear with me as I go through these. Liz, how are you? Liz said, I want the shiny new toy. Yeah, I'm kind of like that as well, Liz. I do love a shiny new toy. I do love something new. And, you know, I've spent all this time getting ready to be able to pronounce Kvaratskhelia, Liz, and I don't want it to go to waste, you know. Very thankfully, my learning of pronunciation of Dominic Szoboszlai did not go to waste. So, you know, maybe Kvaratskhelia could be the same. And another super chat that comes in said, sign him, a centre-back in a DM, and will be good window, definitely. Oh, yes, I agree. It'd be a great window. But it is a bit weird seeing us being linked to forwards, unless this all falls into place. So, let's talk about... Where did we go? Craig, Paul Joyce has not tweeted this. Well, it's in an article. He hasn't tweeted it. It's in an article and it's being quoted by others. So it is legit. It was in a Times piece, I believe. And don't worry, we wouldn't be bringing it to you. We wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't a legit thing. And it was credited by, who was it? Anfield Sector was the original one that quoted it. So let's credit them for the initial one. Benjamin Alford said, feels like maybe Darwin might go, Craig. Thoughts? My thoughts are, what did I say 5-6 days ago? First one again, head above to say Darwin's available. I said it. You know, I know people don't always listen to me, and understandably, because, you know, I am just a fan. But I did tell you that information a few days ago, and I was surprised when I found it out, to be honest. I thought the summer would have been most likely, but yeah, he is available. And if an offer comes in, the phrase I heard was, bite their hand off. So let's wait and see. Mamadash tweet. Can somebody tell me the tweet? Because remember, I don't have the old Twitter. So I stay away from it. So, God, where to start? I'm at a point now where my head's going 100 miles an hour and I'm just trying to think about how I start and balance out this stream. Right, let's go back. Chronologically. I think that's always the best way to look at these things. Craig, are you going to apologise to the lad who thought it was penalties? No. I can't even remember talking with them. So why would I apologise to somebody who didn't go out of their way to realise that it was a two-legged semi-final? Why am I to apologise? I don't even remember talking with them, so you can go away as well. Look, one thing you're going to have to learn is, I'll apologise when I deem it necessary to apologise. Not when anybody else cry arses in here, or just stop. Go away, piss off, don't watch. Stop coming in trying to make out like I've done stuff wrong all the time. I'm a very nice, kind, caring person who doesn't put up with stupidity. And if you think I owe someone an apology, then write it, post it off to Santa Claus, and he'll deliver the apology for you. Fucking weirdos. Right, let's move on. Let's start. I don't even remember that conversation, in all honesty. I really don't, but I'm sure I probably said something. I usually do, but hey ho. It's not my job to inform people of whether a game goes to... You know, as these people write this to me, they could have put it into Google and found out the answer, but they were too fucking lazy. And I'm not here to parent people. So let's get into... Let's talk about... What's first up on the old news agenda today? One sec. I'm just going back through my notes. Okay. Yep. Bear with me, folks. Bear with me. Right. So... We started off the day with a bit of breaking news that came initially from Sky Sports. And this has kind of grown, I guess, as the day has gone on. Brighton and Borussia Dortmund are among the clubs keeping tabs on Harvey Elliott, with his lack of minutes under Arne Slot alerting Premier League and Bundesliga clubs to monitor his future over the next two transfer windows. I'm not going to lie, I'll lose my shit if we sell Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones is still at the club. I mean that deadly seriously. I think Harvey Elliott's been done dirty. And yes, when I was chatting with David earlier on about this, I agree with David's perspective about the injury having maybe cost Harvey Elliott an opportunity to get minutes. Totally understand that perspective, and it's a fair one. But he's just not getting opportunities now. And yesterday was a game, I think most of us will agree that even if you don't think he should have started the game, he certainly should have come off the bench and had an opportunity to impact the game. So when I see this stuff coming out, I believe that there is a relationship or an open channel of communication between Mark McAdam from Sky Sports and Richard Hughes from his time at Bournemouth, where I think he was well informed, Mark McAdam. So I don't know if maybe this is something that's been put out there to test, to see what fans think. I don't know if it's maybe from Harvey Elliott's camp, who feel a little bit like he's not playing enough. I don't know. But I do know there's plenty of players I'd sell before Harvey Elliott at Liverpool Football Club. Let me say that one. Heavy Metal D. Evening all, 17 months now, and a mod for an amazing channel. Thank you. How do you feel after last night? The mood in the pub was sour, but we can win at home. So, look, for me last night and the result, my reaction isn't just based off that one game, as I tried to articulate today and late last night. It's the fact that it's a game after another per game, and I don't like this whole sticking your fingers in your ears and going la la la, everything's great, when it isn't. You might say, maybe Craig, you go too far at times and go the other direction, and I'm open to that. But we have put in a poor performance where we drew at Manchester United and backed it up with a poor performance where, unluckily, yes, but we still lost to Spurs. And to say that we have nothing to be concerned about, I just think is just wishing your problems away when it's not going to solve them. So for me, I'm concerned. And this game coming up against Nottingham Forest is absolutely huge now. And we need a response. So that's where I'm coming from. It wasn't just about last night, my reaction. It was about last night on the back of the Manchester United game. And also, as I've said before, we've seen this play out before. And we have fear that's not an irrational fear. It's a fear that's built off seeing it happen previously with regard to this point of the season and a bit of a wobble. So, yeah. But thank you, Heavy Metal D, for your support. So, on the Harvey Elliott thing, I feel like this is going to be our first poll of the night. I'm going to ask a question. Now, excuse me if this question feels blunt, but I want your honest answer. Okay. So I want to know, who would you rather sell? Harvey Elliott or Curtis Jones? Because for me, it's a no-brainer. And seeing the idea of Harvey Elliott maybe being open to move away, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I don't know where it's come from. And I also refuse to acknowledge or believe that Slot doesn't rate Elliott. I can't look at what that kid does on a pitch and his ability to find space between the lines and think that he's not good enough. He's just not getting minutes. But I am a Harvey fan, so I'm also open to having a bit of bias there. Benjamin said, Nunez going forward for the Napoli lad, would you trade? We'll get on to that, Benjamin, in 2 seconds. I'm getting straight into the Kvaratskhelia stuff now in a second. I just wanted to give the chat a few minutes to fill up. And thank you, Benjamin. I promise I won't ignore your question. Kvara in, Nunez out, Diaz to striker full time. Right, so let's talk about this, right? So what we know is this. Kvaratskhelia is apparently available, right? That's been put out there today by many sources. And Kvaratskhelia is available for around 80 million euro, which is somewhere about 68, 70 million pound. PSG are working behind the scenes to sign Kvaratskhelia but will face competition, is one post. The next thing that came out said that if they do sell Kvaratskhelia, Napoli want to sign one of either Zagrova or Chiesa. Now this is where I think it gets a little bit interesting. If Napoli have an intention to look to sign Federico Chiesa as a potential makeway or a replacement for Kvaratskhelia, we should be all over trying to sign Kvaratskhelia, in my humble opinion, because Darwin's going to be gone in the summer. And I understand that people will go, we're quite stacked on the left. I don't really have a defence to that, if I'm being honest with you. I think it's a very fair point. But I also would say that a lot of our forwards are able to play in various positions. So Diaz can play left, right, central. Gakpo can play left, central. Darwin can play left, central. And I think with Kvaratskhelia, it would at least give us another option. And look, I'm somebody who said in the past, I'm not convinced by Kvaratskhelia, but I'm more convinced by Kvaratskhelia than I have been about Federico Chiesa, whom, let's be honest, for whatever reason, is not getting a sniff. Didn't get any minutes last night. None. Not 10, not 8, not 5, 0. In a game where we looked leggy towards the end of it, and we could have made a change and bring him on and brought Mo off and given Mo a bit of a breather. So all of these things combined make it feel like, if you take that onto account with the David Ornstein stuff, which I'm going to read out to you now, and the David Ornstein stuff was, no, not that one, Craig, the next David Ornstein one. Liverpool could consider a move to sign Kvaratskhelia if he leaves Napoli in January. Liverpool not actively seeking a left winger, but admire the 23-year-old, alerted to the situation, and may become an opportunity. Now, I guess we do have one trump card up our sleeve on this, and that's Georgi Mamardashvili, who, and I'm sure wouldn't mind his compatriot coming to join him at Liverpool, although Kvaratskhelia may be there before him if he came in. So that kind of makes it interesting. And then when you've got the Paul Joyce thing, Paul Joyce coming out and saying Liverpool are monitoring the situation of Napoli winger Kvaratskhelia and may decide to act if the Georgia star looks like he could leave this month. That's interesting. What's this one? So Mamardashvili posted as well a picture of him and Kvaratskhelia that says, more of this in 2025. And thank you to Ryan in our Discord for sending that on to Mark as well. So it's interesting. It's kind of come out of nowhere, but it's exciting stuff if there's truth to it. And that's the important part, because what we don't want is another distraction where fans get hyped up about something that ultimately plays out into nothing and another transfer window goes a-begging. So, you know, it is exciting. I'm as excited as everybody else by the prospect of it, but it's trying to figure out how realistic it is. And I don't know yet. Craig, I don't believe anything not from Fabrizio Romano. Well, all that means, Dara, is that he hasn't been paid to say something. Fabrizio Romano is, in my opinion, not somebody I'd say would be the most trustworthy of sources for Liverpool news. Just my opinion. Yeah, that's just my opinion. I don't like him, don't rate him, don't care, don't want to know what about him really. Use him occasionally if it suits our narrative here on the channel, but ultimately I think he is a problem for the football world and he actually adds nothing to it, in my opinion. But again, if you want to believe the gospel according to Fabrizio Romano, that is absolutely your account. That was a fake account, was it? My apologies. Fake account then. Fake account. Thank you for the way, because that just came into me via WhatsApp there when we were on. So thank you for telling me that was a fake account. I appreciate it. And this is why we're on here, to have this chat, and I'm being educated by you guys as well. So well done. It's called reality. What's called reality? Again, if you want to put snidey comments in, then back them up at what you're talking about. I don't know how to respond to it's called reality. I don't know what that is. If you want to say something, say it. Martin, could Harvey be back up for Maka as an 8? Absolutely. And that's where he should be. I think Harvey Elliott, to me, is an 8.5. He's not a right winger. He's someone who finds space between the lines, needs almost like a bit of a free roll to just find those pockets of space. And I'm absolutely astounded that he hasn't been given opportunities this season when he has been fit. Of course, he did have that injury, and that no doubt did cost him minutes. I mean, you're just wrong. See, I find it hard to take your opinion, Thomas, of you're just wrong when you don't know how to spell the word you're. So if you're going to try and be a smart arse, at least learn the English fucking language, mate. The word you're looking for is you are. Y-O-U''R-E. I can't take you seriously when you're that stupid, mate. Sorry. But then again, you were just trying to be a prick anyway, so we can move on from that, my man. And you can continue to lick Fabrizio's rim. Sound good? Sound good. I love it. I love people are coming in with like, I fucking hate you. You're absolutely atrocious. You're a gobshite. Just keep watching. That's all I ask. Hate me, don't hate me, but just keep talking about me. That's all. That's all I ever ask. Hate me as much as you want, but just keep talking about me, because ultimately I win. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep on cracking. Right, let me get on to this one. Conor Bradley for a second. I want to talk about Conor Bradley. He's been talking about the performance last night, and I think it was fairly honest on what he had to say. So let me read it out to you, and we can go from there. I think we started shaky at times, he said. Some new players came in. I've obviously been out for 6 weeks, so I gave away the ball a bit too much. But no, I thought it was a good performance. Just disappointed with the result and the decision around the Bergveld goal. You're just always got to be ready for a chance whenever you're called upon, just to be ready to come in and give your all for the team, and just to try and help out and help the team win in any way you can. That's what I always try to do, and just be ready. I think there's always some rustiness when you've not been out and you've been out for a few weeks and you haven't been playing. I feel like I was just growing and growing into the game. Obviously, we're just managing my minutes, coming off at 60, and I'm ready to go again on Saturday. I feel like that was a very honest assessment from young Conor Bradley that I actually agree with. I did think he got better as the game went on, and I did think he was a little bit loose in possession at the start, and fair play to him for acknowledging that. Right, Farron. So just seen Diaz has turned down an LFC contract extension as he has his sights set on Barcelona again, or is this just coming because of the Kvaratskhelia stories? The honest answer is, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on with the Diaz situation, or even if there is a situation. That's sincere, I don't know. It would, again, as you said, it would make some sense if, you know, if you're seeing another left winger being linked and coming in. I could understand it. Yeah, I can understand the perspective, but I just don't know. I don't know the answer to it. I do want to ask you about that though in a minute. I'm going to ask you, would you be open to that? You know, if Liverpool did have to move on Diaz and Kvaratskhelia was the one to come in, would you be open to that or not? Yeah, it's an interesting one. Right, so we asked you, who would you rather sell, Harvey Elliott or Curtis Jones? The reason I asked that was because of the stories coming out today that there are clubs hovering around looking to maybe sign Harvey Elliott at the end of the season. And me as a Liverpool fan looking at the squad, I think Elliott has a higher ceiling and a better potential than Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones has the ability to be brilliant, and we've seen it in flashes this season, and it's probably been one of his more consistent seasons. But we're after seeing one good game backed up with 2 shit games, and that's kind of been the story of Curtis Jones at Liverpool for me. So the poll results are that 68% of people that voted said they would rather sell Curtis Jones than Harvey Elliott. And again, thank you for your... I probably should have put an option in for neither in all honesty, but thank you for your honesty anyway. Craig, Marmoush has agreed personal terms to go to Manchester City according to reports. Yeah, that's a story that I was going to move on to. Interestingly, it looks as if Eintracht Frankfurt are demanding €80 million if they are to lose him in January. We know that there's a number there for the summertime, which I think is about €50 million, maybe a little bit higher. But obviously, Eintracht Frankfurt don't want to lose one of their star performers in January. And look, I'd be very sad if he went to Manchester City. I would. I really like the idea of Marmoush, but I would also have to say that if Liverpool aren't stepping into the conversation here, then obviously they have eyes elsewhere, and Marmoush is is going to do whatever he's going to do. Anything true in the holiday rumour? No. We covered it actually, I think, in the... I'm almost sure it was on camera. I asked David about it. No, I don't think, Richard. It doesn't make sense. Like, why would you let your sporting director go on holiday in a transfer window? Even if you think Liverpool aren't going to do any business, they still have to sort out loan players and stuff that are out that are maybe moving to other clubs and stuff like that. So yeah, as David said in the video, it just doesn't make any sense that Hughes would be on holidays now. I don't know. Well, I do know where that rumour started, but I don't know where they plucked it from. We need another DM over a winger, 100%. And I don't think fans here are trying to say, go get the winger, because I think it's just the alignment of Chiesa being an option that maybe makes this feasible. Because if Napoli are looking to replace Kvaratskhelia if they lost them with Chiesa, and Liverpool aren't against the idea of losing Chiesa and would need to bring in another attacker, you know, it could make sense. And I think Kvaratskhelia is on a relatively modest wage, I think, as well. But I want to ask you the interesting question, because somebody brought up the Diaz thing a minute ago, and I wanted to just see how open people would be to that. So question is, would you sell Diaz to get Kvaratskhelia? Now, I'm not saying for 1 second that we hound Diaz out of the club. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. I'm just reacting to what somebody said about a report that Diaz turned down a contract offer from Liverpool and he has his sights set in Barcelona again. So, yeah, and for me, the Chiesa conversation is the way to go if you're looking at Kvaratskhelia, because they want him. He's not getting a look in at Liverpool. Yamal for Diaz. Yeah, Yamal is signing a new contract at Barcelona. That is going to be done very soon. I've been reading up about that earlier on today, actually. So he will be staying at Barcelona. There's no way when they brought him through they were going to ever let him leave Barcelona. You know, he is the new golden boy, and rightly so. Hoarder said, do we need to sell to buy? I would answer that with a no in one sense and a yes in the other. So, no from the point of view of financially, no, we don't have to sell to buy. But if you're talking about filling up squad places, then in certain positions where we would say, like attacker, that we have 6 options, I think it's prudent if you were to bring in another attacker to move one on. But if we're talking about bringing in a centre-back or a midfielder, then I think they're positions that we need to strengthen and fill in anyway, because we didn't replace Joel Matip when he departed, and we still haven't brought in that midfielder, that, you know, the Zubimendi style midfielder. So I think there are spaces there. Left back, you know, most fans believe that we need to strengthen at left back. It's just a case of when. Will it be after we move somebody on in the summer and bring someone in? I think most likely. And look, I get it. People are going to talk about not trusting Robbo or not fancying Costas as much. I get that. But I also have to be a realist and say, the fan in me will say one thing, but the pragmatist in me, because there is one in there, would say you can't carry 3 left backs in the squad, so you'd have to move somebody on. City may get Kvara at this rate. They're spending crazy. Well, they're trying to salvage their season. You know, they don't want to have a season where maybe they don't get into the Champions League. Or at least if they are in it this season, they want to be competitive in the knockout stages of the Champions League. And with what's happening now at City, you know, you've seen the results over the past few weeks. They've picked up a couple of wins, but ultimately they're in a free fall this season. And then they've got all the other stuff hanging over their heads about the charges and whatnot. And by the way, I'm as disappointed as all of you around transfers. You know, I don't know if you watched the chat with David earlier on, but I tried to fight the corner of we need signings. I tried to stand and say we need to improve what we have. We need to be ruthless. And to be fair to David, some stuff we found common ground on, some stuff we didn't. But I felt like it was a grown-up, sensible conversation, and I respect his opinion even though I disagree with some of it. For me, it's important to show that we can do this. You know, you've heard me talk for a long time about dissenting voices not having somebody to come in and talk to them. Well, that was an example today of what I'd like more of in the Liverpool fan world, which is people who maybe are a bit more sympathetic towards the club's position or the owners to come in and discuss it with somebody like me who feels like we're just not doing enough. And I think if we do this more and more, fans will find common ground. Craig, I couldn't help but notice your tattoos. Care to share your story about them? There isn't really one, Aidan, mate, in all honesty. There's no real backstory to them or anything, my man. Just something I built up over the years getting them, and I find it relaxing when I was getting tattooed and stuff like that. There's no big story to them. There's no meaning behind them really or anything. My only concern is if we sign Kvaratskhelia, Mo is not going to renew his contract. Yeah, look, there was a part of me that thought exactly what you did there as well. That thought, is this the club maybe flexing their potential muscle in that regard? To say, well, look, we have options. Because, yeah, you're right, we still haven't got that conversation where Mohamed Salah signed up yet. Now, for what it's worth, I do think Mohamed Salah and Virgil stay, absolutely. I do think that gets resolved, but I can understand your point. I think it's a fair one. Craig, would you sell Nunez or VVD if you get more? No, I wouldn't sell VVD. There's just no world, Oisin, where I'd sell VVD. I'd sell Nunez tomorrow. And I say this as somebody who only wanted him to succeed and have no ill feeling towards the lad whatsoever. It's just, to me, one of those transfers that hasn't worked out for anybody. And there's interest in him not only from Italy, but also from Saudi Arabia. I have no idea if the idea of a move to Saudi Arabia is of any interest to Darwin Nunez and his family. I don't know that, so I won't speak on his behalf, but I would certainly sell him, yes. Because we're going to do it one way or the other. And I'm very much of the mindset of, if you look at your squad and you think you can improve any area of it, be ruthless. That's genuinely what I feel. And when we go into a transfer window, the question I ask myself at the end of every transfer window is, have we improved the squad, the outlook from the start of the window to now? A lot of the time the answer to that question has been no, but... And I also understand the love for Darwin. I totally understand it. It's not misplaced. He's a likeable guy. But you can't just bury your head in the sand. We have 2.5 years of sample size of Darwin Nunez, and he just isn't cutting the mustard. He just isn't. All the goodwill and good intention in the world isn't going to change the fact that he's just not that guy. Darwin is better than Jota. No, he's not. That's just fucking stupid. I'm sorry to be so rude about it, but that is just an absolutely ridiculous opinion. There's no world where Darwin Nunez is a better player than Diogo Jota for Liverpool. Not a chance. Nice to hear a debate over the subject instead of just hearing you've never been to Anfield. Well, if somebody said that to me, they'd be very incorrect. But yeah, you're right. It was lovely and I enjoyed it. And me and David had a good chuckle about it afterwards as well. You know, we both came into that conversation a little bit worked up after yesterday and after the reaction to it all. So yeah, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was fun. One man deserves much more than's been given to him. Endo, our new Milner. Well, actually on that, I found out something quite interesting on Endo. Connor sent this over to me. Would you believe in his career he's played the majority of his games at centre-back? Genuinely, hand on heart, didn't know that. I knew he was utilised there before. I knew he played centre-back before, but he's played 240 games in his career as a centre-back, 192 as a defensive midfielder, 34 as a central midfielder, and 15 as a right-back. You know, and I don't think he looked out of place really at centre-back last night either. I thought he did an adequate job when he went in there until he was pushed into midfield. But yeah, that surprised me. Sorry, Jack. I booted you your comment by accident, mate. My apologies to you, Jack O'Connell. And I'm going to read out your comment just by way of an apology, mate. I meant to get rid of Aidan McCaffrey's stupid questions. I was just trying to wind me up. So Jack said, Craig, with Szoboszlai being out the last 2 games, it shows how much we missed him, really. Hope Elliott's getting some more minutes. Absolutely. It was a very good example over the last couple of games of what Dom gets and what he brings, and why the criticism of Dominic Szoboszlai from many Liverpool fans, I felt, has always been over the top. So, yeah, we could have done with him yesterday hugely. And again, I do apologise, Jack, for that. I clicked on the wrong one again, mate. My apologies initially. It's you're unbanned now, by the way, mate. It was just me clicking the wrong thing. So I sincerely apologise for that. Craig, you doing your team for Saturday? Yeah, it'll be out tomorrow evening. I'm not around tomorrow night. Full disclosure, we're going out for the company Christmas dinner, which we never had, obviously, before Christmas, because it was a very busy period for us as a channel. So we're going out for a meal as a team tomorrow. And yeah, it'll be out tomorrow evening. Adam said, don't suppose Napoli would want Nunez. Also, any updates on Douglas Luiz? Love the David Lynch video. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the video. Not really seen anything other than that initial little bit of speculation, I think is probably the right word, over David Luiz. Not David Luiz, Douglas Luiz. David Luiz, definitely not the right player. Douglas Luiz, sorry. Yeah, haven't seen anything new since then. Craig, should Darwin have got sent off for his challenge on the lip? No, not at all. Is he yellow all day, every day? But a red? No. It's just, even referees were saying there, McGallagher knows not a chance that was a red. It was a stretch at most to try to look for a red for that. Kieran said, would we get a centre-back if Jarrell was injured, not unwell? Well, look, let me first say that is good news. That Arne Slot confirmed last night that Kwanzaa went off because he was unwell and it wasn't an injury, which is good news. That's what we wanted to hear. But it was worrying because for those 2 minutes, or for that little period of time where we did know he was unwell, I was thinking we've 2 centre-backs now. 2. And in this conversation with David Lynch earlier, I don't know how it jumped to David saying what club has 6 centre-backs, because we have 4 at the minute. And we need a 5th. And I think having a 5th centre-back would be prudent for us. So yeah, I still think we need somebody there, because remember, we didn't replace Joel Matip. So we still need a body there, in my opinion. Whether it's a young centre-back that's there for the future, I've no problem with that, but we certainly do need somebody. Craig, will you be manager for the Sidemen, the charity match? No, I never get asked to do anything like that, mate. Of course I do it, but I never get asked to do it, so I won't be expecting a call on that one. But of course I do. I'd do anything for charity if I could help out in any way. Sorry, I'm just trying to read back on something here. Sorry, yeah, I was going to call out someone's comment, but I didn't want it to be out of context, and I'm glad I didn't, because I would have been wrong. Any news on Murillo? Yeah, Forest are trying to tie him down to a new deal. The price tag in and around him is 70 million quid. And that's all I can really tell you on Murillo. I only read that yesterday, actually. So this report here from Caught Offside around Darwin said, Arne Slot has held a series of talks with Darwin Nunez over improving his performances, with a possible transfer out of the club not ruled out. Nunez has been told very clearly that he needs to be more consistent and contribute more to the team, according to this report from Caught Offside. I mean, the only part of that I can certainly speak to is, like I said a few days ago, he is available if the right offer came in. And, you know, I think it's acknowledged by the club now that, you know, he's just not going to be here for the long term. Thank you, Dara. I won't be having a pint around tomorrow, mate. I'll be driving up and down to Dublin, but I will enjoy it nonetheless. Thank you. And Dara, could you please stop spamming the same comment, mate? You've wrote it in 4 times there in the space of 2 minutes. You're only going to get timed out by the mods, mate, and I don't want it to happen to you. So, right, let's check in on the poll. Would you sell Diaz to get Kvaratskhelia? And 67% have said no. Thank you. Now let me ask you a different one. Right, so a different question this time. Okay. Alright, 1 sec, I'm just adding a few more options. Cool. Right, so question is, would you sell Chiesa or Darwin to get Kvaratskhelia? Now, I've given you 4 options. Sell Darwin, sell Chiesa, sell both, or sell neither. So I'll let you guys vote away on that one and we'll check back in on it in a while. In your opinion, what position is the priority in this transfer window? Said Ross. Same as I said before the window started, mate. Defensive midfielder or whoever Arne Slot deems as an alternative to Zubimendi. Him. That position. That, for me, if I went in order of preference, that position, numerically centre back and then left back in the summer. They're the 3 positions for me that I think we should be looking at. We will get better value for keeping Chiesa. That's true if Arne Slot actually puts him on the pitch. You know, I have to say, I was very frustrated last night at the lack of minutes for Chiesa because I think the game could have justified it. You know, Mo looked leggy, which is understandable, by the way. He's played a lot of football, so I didn't see why we didn't give him 10 minutes. Yeah, that really winds me up when someone just on a bench, taking a wage, and the manager doesn't seem to trust him to get minutes. You start to ask, well, if he's on the bench, you've got to admit he's fit, or at least fit to come on and get a few minutes. And he's never going to get a chance to prove himself if he doesn't get on the pitch. So the whole situation to me is a frustrating one that I thought last night would have called for a good shout to give him a few minutes. Look, some of you people need to grow up. Let me just say that bluntly in the chat. Some of you need to grow up. All this Chiesa is getting too much hate. Do you understand what hate is? Because I don't think you do. I think you see people who talk about somebody you like and ask questions that they feel are valid questions and interpret that as hate. I've not seen a single bit of hate towards Federico Chiesa. And I'm sitting here defending the man, saying he should be getting minutes yesterday. So, for all this bullshit in the chat about people need to stop giving Chiesa hate, nobody's giving him hate. So stop calling out stuff that isn't there. Because I don't like my fellow fans being criticised for stuff that isn't actually happening. Same with the whole stuff about Endo. Like, in the conversation with David earlier, it was like, well, the fans don't want Endo. But no, fans love Endo. But he's not getting minutes. And we ain't the ones that aren't picking him. You can't be blaming Liverpool fans. We're not the ones not putting Chiesa on the pitch. We're not the one not trusting Darwin in defensive midfield. So it becomes a little bit frustrating as a fan when the manager's making these decisions and we're being told that there's no space in the squad to bring players in when we have players that clearly he doesn't trust you. And to square those two circles off in my head is frustrating, because you either believe in somebody or you don't. And we've been very patient as a fan base and allowed 6 months to get Chiesa fit. And he hasn't got to a point where the manager thinks what was once a mini pre-season, remember, became a 6-month slog. Then he gets into team squads because he's fit enough, and he's still not getting a sniff. So what's the point in having these guys around if they're not being trusted? That's just taking up a place on the bench. And there's one thing I did agree with David on earlier, and that's if ruthless decisions need to be made, somebody needs to man up and start making them. Because I can understand why the club bought him. You know, it's a chance at a bargain, and it could work out very well if he gets on the damn pitch. It's the way of the world these days. Can't have a discussion without some cry arse and say, I know, and I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick to the back teeth of it. Because sometimes it's warranted. Sometimes people do go overboard. But so many people these days are so soft that they deem any criticism, even if it's a one-game thing, as hate from people. And they need to grow up, or they're going to have a very, very, very sheltered life where they're feeling hated upon by a lot of people. Paul, how are you, my man? This one. Very good, thank you. Yeah, Logan, really good, thank you, mate. Very much enjoying it. Have you seen any promising youngsters on Saturday? Will we see any promising youngsters on Saturday? I was trying to put together my team earlier on, Paul, and I was kind of doing it out for the preview. I think there's a good argument that maybe you'd see a Neoni or a Nalo, a Dans. Maybe you'll see young Rio in the squad. I'm not sure. I'm as intrigued as everybody else to see what squad Arne Slot puts together for the game against Accrington on Saturday. Did I ever play football at underage? Yes, all the way from under 8s up to under 18, and then a little bit of senior football. What's your favourite pint of beer? I don't drink pints. If I drink beer, I drink bottles. I have a weird thing about a pint just looking like too much liquid in my hand. So I drink a bottle of Corona, a bottle of San Miguel, a bottle of Peroni, although not so much with the Peroni these days. Matt said, I wholeheartedly agree with you. Could be mint, but we won't know if he gets no minutes. And that's it. I think that's the frustration for a lot of fans. There's been loads of goodwill towards Chiesa because loads of people love the idea of Chiesa at Liverpool. Everybody like me was won over immediately by Federico Chiesa. His signing day video, it was brilliant. And I commented on it at the time so much. It was heartwarming to see how excited he was. And I was buzzing for the lad. And I'm thinking, right, this can be an absolute bargain. Get Chiesa ready, unleash him on the Premier League, and let's make this look like the biggest bargain of the past 10 years. But if he's not getting minutes, it's very difficult for fans to just sit there and think, why? What position did I play? I was a goalkeeper, mate. Well, in the main, I was a goalkeeper, but I often played for the team a year above me when they were stuck as a left winger as well, because I'm left footed, but I played as a goalkeeper. Right, some more Kvaratskhelia stuff coming in. So Liverpool are willing to pounce if the opportunity to sign Kvaratskhelia arises, is a post just come in from the Daily Mail Sport. Sky Sports have said Liverpool are aware of Kvaratskhelia and the prospect of a January exit from Napoli has alerted them further. Again, like we mentioned earlier on, Paul Joyce has been quoted as saying Liverpool are monitoring the situation of the Napoli winger Khvicha Kvaratskhelia and may decide to act if the Georgia star looks set to leave this month. So we've nearly at 1,500 votes on the poll, and then I'm going to ask you just a really straightforward, basic question on Kvaratskhelia. But if you haven't voted in our poll, by the way, please do. We'd love to get up to 1,500. And also, don't forget that link is there at the top of the chat for our Just Giving for Joe. I'm going to read it out because it's been a while since I've read it out again. So let me just bring this up on screen for you. So bear with me 1 second. So the link above that you'll see, we've raised £1,418 so far towards the £5,500 target. We're trying to raise this money to fund a new wheelchair basketball chair for Joe. Joe has cerebral palsy and played wheelchair basketball for 8 years and is still playing in a borrowed club chair that is heavy and slow. A new sports wheelchair would allow Joe to work on his fitness as well as coaching and other work with young people. Joe is a youth worker and works for a local charity as a pastoral support lead, working with young people aged from 14 to 25. Having a new sports chair would allow him to get involved in new activities with young people and help more people to get involved in sport. If you guys want to make any type of a small donation to it, please feel free to click on the link at the top of the chat above. And we are going to be making a donation ourselves. We're still trying to sort out that raffle for the PS5 that we're going to buy. And I will give you more info on that. It's just proven a little bit more tricky than we expected. Who's winning the Champions League? I've no idea. It's so tough to call a Champions League winner every year because one club or a few teams may start the season really well and then other teams come on stronger later in the season. So right now I'd be sitting here thinking no chance of Man City, but if they can put things right again and start getting more momentum, you never know. Real Madrid didn't start the season as well as they would have, but they may come on stronger later in the season. So I always find it a really difficult one to judge the Champions League. Right, so the question we asked was, would you sell Federico Chiesa or Darwin Nunez to get Kvaratskhelia? 47% said they would sell Darwin. 16% said they would sell Chiesa. 30% said sell both. And 7% said sell neither. And thank you to everyone that took part in that vote. Now I'm just going to ask a basic yes or no. So this question is just a straightforward, should we sign Kvaratskhelia? Just a simple one, yes or a no. Arsenal winning the third place. Their odds on, they're great for the old third places. What about Coman from Bayern? Can play both wings. Yeah, but he's injured too often. Look, I don't think we actively need to be looking for a winger, by the way. Let me say that. Like I've said, defensive midfielder, centre back, left back. They're my priorities. Dara, I'm bored of you now. Go away. Should I like the live? That's your question, is it? What do you think my answer might be, bro? Stop looking for it. Just go away. I'm bored. I don't have time to pander to silly little nonsense like that, mate. Ian said, stuff around Harvey Elliott is mad. I'd sell Jones first. I'm the same. God, absolutely the same. I got really angry when I seen the stuff around Harvey Elliott come out earlier on. Really angry about it because it feels unfair. It feels unfair. I don't understand why on earth he's not getting opportunities. Particularly yesterday. That game was tailor-made to give Harvey Elliott a run out. Regan said we need a goal scorer. FSG won't end up giving contracts to Salah, VVD and Trent. We'll lose all three. So you know Regan, I'm not very pro the owners in a lot of ways, right? But I feel comfortable that Salah and Virgil will stay. Now, if that belief or optimism is misplaced, I'll be on here complaining, and I promise you I will. Because the only one that I'm unsure of at the moment is Trent. I don't know what's going on there. Now, do you know what I am getting tired of with Trent? And it isn't anything Trent has done, by the way. I'm getting tired of people coming out and telling us Liverpool fans how to feel about the Trent situation. Telling us that we should all be standing and applauding him and raising him on our shoulders as we carry him towards John Lennon Airport to go off to a new life in Madrid. Glenn Johnson was at it today and others have been at it. And I want to ask these people, what fucking planet do you live on? Where you think Liverpool fans are going to hoist up Trent or any other player, local, that's come through the club's ranks and ran off for free, and we're going to applaud it and say, yay! Get real. Just get real. That's not real life. It might be in the little football bubble where everybody blows smoke up their arse all day, every day, from one end of their career to the next. But that's not how the real world works. If Trent goes to Real Madrid, that's his decision. That part I don't think anybody's debating. But Liverpool fans at this moment have every right to feel a little bit pissed off about this situation, that we still haven't heard from young Trent what he wants to do. So this idea that we should be all, putting him on our shoulders and applauding him is absolute fucking pony. It's nonsense. And I'm kind of getting sick of being spoken down to by these idiots. Why should we stand there and applaud our squad getting weakened? Why should we stand there and applaud a local lad who turned down 300 grand a week if he does move on? Why? Why should we stand there and applaud somebody who hasn't been upfront about the situation once and has allowed Madrid media to come in and destabilise the club? And I'm supposed to applaud that and say, yay! Of course I appreciate Trent. Of course we appreciate what he's done at the club. That's why we all want him to stay. But don't look us in the eye and tell us that if somebody goes off to look after their own best interests and then tell us they owe us nothing, but we owe them everything. Like, they owe us nothing is an argument you're going to hear a lot. And that's fine. That is absolutely fine. People can be inherently selfish. It's their career. But don't tell us that we need to applaud that selfishness. Like, that is condescending at the least. Michelle Bruce, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. I think Jones is a great squad player. I think Elliott has potential to be in the starting 11. So look, there's definitely been an improvement, a marked improvement in Curtis Jones under Arne Slot. I absolutely agree with that. But it's a consistency thing for me with Curtis Jones. You can't have 3 good games, 3 bad games. You can have a bad game, of course. Everybody's going to have an off day. But with Curtis Jones, I've never felt that that's been the case. And every time I kind of start winning myself back around and thinking, yeah, you know what, you're being too harsh on Curtis, I then see 2 or 3 performances where he just isn't at it. And then you're crying out for Dominic Szoboszlai, and then Szoboszlai will come in, you'll see the difference, and you go, okay. So I do agree on the squad player thing. The only reason I even brought the whole Jones conversation up today was the stuff around Elliott maybe going. That breaks my heart, thinking about Elliott, who loves the club deeply, as does Jones, of course, but isn't getting the chances. Ash Forever said, Colleen Rooney said her and Wayne's family got abused, car window smashed and graffiti sprayed when Wayne left for United. And bear in mind, Everton win nothing and they got 30 million from. I know, Ash, and I'm seeing this from journalists on Sky Sports back pages as well. John Cross, a journalist who I think seems like a really nice man, genuinely. I'd love to have a chat with John Cross. He seems a lovely fella. But he's also of the mindset that Liverpool fans should all stand around and applaud Trent if he goes off to Madrid. I don't get that. I don't want any hate towards the lad. Of course not. But I'm not going to stand there and applaud somebody who's made the best decision for their own back pocket at the expense of the club's stability. I'm just not going to do that as a fan. Tristan said, Salah looks a bit lost playing in front of Bradley. He looked more comfortable in the Spurs game after Trent came on. I certainly agree. We looked better on that side when Trent came on. And I made a mention of it last night during the watch along. I definitely think we perked up a bit on that side. I would say, though, a little bit more than it being to do with Bradley. I wonder, is it more that we didn't have Szoboszlai in there as well, who can act a bit more of a defensive shield on that right-hand side. So yeah, I wonder, was it a balance of both, Tristan? But thank you for your comment. Mark Fitchin said, Craig, one quick one, mate. What's the protocol for refs and yellow cards? Is it still done by writing down the number on the card and checking at the fourth official reminding him? Yeah, I imagine so. Certainly the number on the back of the card. The referee last night bottled it. There's no two ways about that, Mark. And look, just because people come on and say the first one wasn't a yellow card, and I agree, by the way, and I said it last night and I'll say it again, I think Diaz sold the referee one for the first yellow card, but you can't then re-referee the game. The second one was a stonewall yellow card in everybody's book. It's not even a debate. And to see people try to say that decision doesn't matter because the first yellow card shouldn't be the yellow card only makes the referee's decision even more egregious in my mind, because he shit the bed twice then in one scenario. And what makes it even more annoying is we suffered because not only was our player injured, he was then booted off the pitch because the other lad wasn't booked. If the other lad had been booked, even if it was his first booking, let's say, then Costas doesn't need to leave the pitch. It's only if a player gets treatment and there isn't a yellow card that he needs to leave the pitch. So we got shafted out of a player not getting a red and them going down to 10. Instead, we went down to 10 for the next phase of play and they scored. And it was the guy that should have been sent off. So some of the nonsense I'm seeing people come up with is laughable. Ultimately, once again last night, we seen an example where these referees are given every help, every bit of technology, a VAR room which I'm aware can't get involved in second yellow cards, but decisions are not getting better. And I don't care if people want to laugh at us and go, ha ha, salty. Deep down, they know we're right. That was a yellow card in every game. 100%. Phil Spicer said, don't know about you, but Real Madrid are our big rivals outside England. The idea that we should roll over and bow to Trent's departure to Real Madrid is hideous. Yeah. Because, Phil, and I hope you'll agree with me on this one, sir, we are Liverpool Football Club. We shouldn't be kowtowing or bowing down to anybody, let alone the horrible, shitty, snidey group that is Real Madrid, that have the cheek to bang on about respect and show none. So yeah, man, I'm with you 100%. Absolutely. And this idea that we're supposed to just go, oh, it's Madrid. Oh, I'm all weak at the knees. It's Liverpool Football Club. I'm with you, man. We've got to flex our muscles and say, fuck off. Just do one. So yeah, I'm with you, Phil. Craig, is it true that we're linked with Joshua Kimmich? I would use the word linked there in the very lightest of circumstances. What I see there is Christian Falk trying to drum up a story about Liverpool and Kimmich. A player that may leave Bayern Munich or may not. But to the best of my understanding, I think he's on about 300 grand a week at Bayern Munich. And there is no world that Liverpool are going to pay that money to anybody. Let alone somebody in a position where we could get other players in for a lot cheaper. So it never made sense to me in the real world. As a name and as an option, and taking out the finances of it all, Kimmich's a solid pro, absolutely. And I'm sure it would be a credit to any squad. But it doesn't make any sense when you see the numbers. Craig, I've seen on Facebook that Elliott might leave. Yeah, look, there's a report. I'll read it out to you now. First report came from, I think it was Sky Sports, and it said, clubs have contacted Liverpool about Harvey Elliott. There is interest from the Bundesliga for the summer. And then there was another report that said, where's this one gone? Sorry, I've gone too far here. This one. Another Sky Sports report said, Brighton and Borussia Dortmund are among clubs keeping tabs on Harvey Elliott with his lack of minutes under Arne Slot, alerting Premier League and Bundesliga clubs to monitor his future over the next two windows. So, yeah, And look, I want to call something out here. Alexander Isak has been awarded the Premier League Player of the Month for December. And whilst he had a great December, and I don't want to sound salty about this, on what planet does Mohamed Salah, breaking the Premier League's own goals and assist record for a month, not deem him to be the winner of the Player of the Month? Make it make sense to me, please. Because it's a piss take. And I get it, they maybe want to share it around, but let's be honest, there's one Player of the Month for December. His name's Mohamed, he plays for Liverpool, and he broke the Premier League's monthly goals and assist record. How do you not acknowledge him with the Player of the Month? It is once again a massive disrespect to a man that deserves far more respect than he's getting. And that's not to take anything away from Isak, who is a tremendous footballer, had a great month, and is absolutely bang in form. But he didn't break the record. Mo did. And he gets looked past yet again. It's shocking. Shocking. DYS said, love the content, Craig. Keep up the good work, my man. We all have to go in for Gay, Marmoush and Isak, sell Nunez as much as I love the guy. So I never really got much encouragement around Mark Gay when we were talking about centre-backs last summer, and I was speaking to a few journalists about it. I think one of the main reasons around Mark Gay and Liverpool not making sense that I was given was his lack of aerial prowess, which kind of makes some sense to me, because if you look at Canade and Virgil, both dominant aerially, particularly Virgil. So once that was explained to me, and this is one of those situations where, I was open to being corrected, and I was corrected, and when I understand the other perspective, I thought, okay, that makes some sense. So yeah, I was never given much encouragement on Mark Gay. Chelsea, the ones it looks like, as well as Newcastle, having a long-standing interest, they're trying to get that one done. How do I feel about Marmoush going to City instead? Scared Skikairo? How do I feel? Hard to know without knowing what our plans are. But if we do nothing and he goes there, upset, disappointed, frustrated, let down. Not by him, of course, but you know who. Do you want us to sign Kvaratskhelia? I don't know, Linus, mate. I don't know. I'm open to it, but you need to see what the reasoning is behind it, what the thought process is about the players that are at the club. So, as an example, if Darwin was to leave and we signed a Kvaratskhelia, I think, okay, worth that chance. If Liverpool wanted to cut their losses on Chiesa, and again, I'm not suggesting they do, I'm just playing devil's advocate, and Napoli do want Chiesa as an alternative to Kvaratskhelia if they lose him, well then you would say surely there might be a deal to be done there. So it's an interesting one. It's certainly one that seems to be growing in momentum. But Linus, what I don't want to happen, my friend, is a situation where we get strung along the whole way through the window with this nonsense and nothing gets sorted, the window closes, nobody's signed, and we're back to square one. That's the fear I'd have here. Tristan said, I don't think people should hate on Nunez. Shows a lot of energy on the field and puts pressure on defences. I know he's shooting a sloppy, but trust the process. Right. The process has been 2.5 years, mate. And the process hasn't paid off. So when does trust become misplaced? Is what I'd say there. Is there still rumours about Thuram? I've seen a couple, Lee, around Marcus Thuram. I think that's what you're asking. I've seen a couple linking us to Marcus Thuram, but I don't know how credible they are. Naturalist said, your fear is the more likely scenario to happen. I know, because it's happened over and over again. And you know my big pet peeve is that us Liverpool fans, or football fans in general, get taken for idiots too often. And like, we haven't seen this trick before. So if there's some seriousness to it and it plays out into something, brilliant. But it's still not bringing in the defensive midfielder that we need. And, you know, I have a genuine question. And whether you hate me, agree with me, don't agree with me, please give me an answer to this. What has Richard Hughes done to justify his existence at Liverpool to this point? Because, like I've said, I don't know the man. I don't have any preconceived dislike of the man. But I am wondering how he has ghosted to this point or lived off bringing in Arne Slot. Because that was brilliant. We're all happy about that. But, like I've said many times, everybody reported that the first thing in his inbox was the sort of contracts. Not done. We didn't get the number 6 that we needed in the summer. Made a play for somebody, came up short. Signed a player in Chiesa who the manager's not given a look into, and a goalkeeper for the future, which doesn't help us right now. And I'm at a loss to figure out what this lad does. Because it's hard to say he's good enough or he isn't good enough when we don't know what he's doing. And I promise you, I don't say this to try and increase any hate on him. It's an honest opinion. I don't know, what is he doing? So I'm going to read through some of your answers. He turned up to West Ham and done nothing. I don't know what that means. I don't know who that was about. Nothing, he should be sacked, said Anthony. Oh, you mean... Sorry, yeah, Hughes was at West Ham, wasn't he? I forgot he was there for that game, mate, sorry. Nothing at all. Nothing, he should be sacked, said Anthony King. Absolutely nothing, said Elon. Is that you, Elon? Took a free paycheck, said Jamie Doyle. Hughes off on his jollies. No, he isn't. Again, we talked about that in the interview with David earlier on, and it just makes no sense, because even if Liverpool aren't doing anything in the window, he still has loan stuff and all to sort out for players like Kumas, players like Doak that there's interest in. So yeah, there's still work to be done. So there's no way I believe he's allowed to have any holiday time in January. Is this a family-friendly channel? Not if you're allergic to swearing. What I can promise you, Adon, is you'll always get respect from me when it's given in the chat. I never talk about anything sexual or anything like that in a serious context, but I do swear. And if that's not for your viewing or your kids or whatever, I get it, no problem. But I always have a good intention. That's all I can promise you. He's done worse than nothing. He's made us look dumb in the market, said Paolo. A grain of sand would do more than him. Watched the David Lynch video before. Respectfully, he's wrong. He made out like last season's collapse was due to one-off injury crisis. We had to pair Williams and Phillips at centre-back. Look, I didn't agree with a lot of the perspectives, but that's kind of the whole point of why I do these things with David, because I think it's healthy to have these debates and to do them in a respectful manner. And he will only ever have my respect, because I have nothing but respect for David Lynch. But yeah, I'm also aware of the fact that he walks a tightrope as a journalist, and somebody who can't do what I do. Even if he wanted to, he couldn't call out FSG as much as I do, because he's an accredited journalist that goes to the games. But he's just a more optimistic person than I am around this type of stuff, and that's why I defend him so much, because he's not a shill in the sense that some people try to make out. He's not at all. But he is a professional, and he does have to keep things professional. But I can tell you that I loved seeing the fire in the way he stood his ground on his positions today. I thought that was brilliant, and I really enjoyed it. And we both had a good laugh at the end of it, and because it was the first time we've kind of butted heads on stuff, and I like it. I like seeing that fire, because it's passion. And passion for our club is a good thing, ultimately. Mohammed Said, hi Craig, why are we going for Kvaratskhelia? We need to see DM more. Is it a sign that Diaz or Nunez will be sold? So I think it's probably a culmination of a couple of things, Mohammed. The interest that Napoli have in Federico Chiesa perhaps is fueling some of it. I don't. Somebody asked me about the Diaz stuff earlier on, and the honest answer is I don't know what if anything is going on with the Diaz stuff. And the Darwin thing, I said to you guys a few weeks ago that Darwin, or maybe a week ago, sorry, that Darwin is available if the right offer comes in. Again, I think that's proven to be correct now with other reporting over the last few days. So maybe any combination of that, or we're being strung along again. You can't rule that out either. Thank you, Thabo, mate. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you. And if you can, do me a favour, by the way, and hit that like button. Please do. We've been so fortunate. You guys have been hitting the like button, and we've got 1,000 likes on most streams recently. So if you can hit it again, I would greatly appreciate it, and thank you. Should we sign Kvaratskhelia? We've had nearly 2,000 votes on this one, and it's a landslide. So I'm going to let it get up to 2,000 votes, and then I'll come back to it. What's this one? So I'm going to read this out to you and then tell me if it sounds familiar, right? And this is Credit Anything Liverpool who posted this. It says, it is believed that while Arne Slot's side are not specifically targeting a player of Kvaratskelia's profile, they do admire the 23-year-old, with the Reds willing to be ready to pounce if an opportunity arises. Any move would potentially be dependent on a big name. I feel like we heard that before. And I feel like the player we heard that about before is currently playing for Manchester United at centre-back. Does that sound familiar to anybody else? Because I swear we heard that when Madrid were supposed to be signing Lenny Yoro. And then all of a sudden, you know, they backed out and we didn't do anything. So anyway, the Kvaratskhelia poll, 74% of you guys have said, yes, we should sign Kvaratskhelia. Jules said, hey Craig, really upset with not getting Marmouche. Slot needs a solid 9 or CDM. Liverpool need to buy. Yeah. I agree, but you know, you or I or any other fans, I guess, can't make the transfer decisions for the club. So all we can ever hope in these situations, my man, is that we have a plan. You know, there's a big leap of faith as a fan a lot of the time, and sometimes that faith you feel is unfounded. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm disappointed we're not in that mix as well. Hoarder, you're talking about super chats. You can't put in, they're not read. I'm not seeing any there, mate. For me, are you trying to say I've missed them, or I'm not seeing anything from you, bro. Sorry. Luke, I like where you're going with this, and I think that's a good question. So let me bring it up for you, Luke. One sec. Okay, I think I've worded that all right. So, is the Kvaratskhelia stuff a PR distraction? Because Luke's comment is the Kvaratskhelia stuff feels like a PR stunt. Right, what else we got? Buy Ederson from Atalanta. Oh, Brian, I don't know if you're a new viewer, mate, or you've been around for a while, but I would be fully on board with that, mate. Being a big fan of Ederson of Atalanta since last season's Europa League, really. And I've always been somebody who's thought Liverpool could do worse than look at him. I think he's a very versatile player as well. Again, I can only say I've not really ever been given any encouragement around the idea of it as much as I would like it, and clearly your good self would like it as well. Where at? Right, hang on. Hoarder, I'm going to try and find these, mate, because I don't know why they haven't come through to me, bro. One sec. Okay, I found one, Hoarder, so let me bring this one up for you, bro. Do you think we sign for 80 million? Hughes is shy. I don't think it would necessarily be a straight deal of 80 million. I think we'd obviously have to bring in money somewhere and supplement that. What I would imagine would happen in this situation is Liverpool will look like they're negotiating it and cheap out and make a derisory offer at about 60 or 55 or something like that, mate. Still scrolling through to try and find your other ones. I think that was it from today, unless I've missed another one. One second. Then I think FSG will cover the cost, or will cost us the league, I think was another one that you'd said. But look, I've said about FSG many times, bro. In my opinion, what we have won has been in spite of them and not because of them. To some extent, yes, they've built the club back up, and credit for that. But to people who say to us, but you're complaining when Liverpool have won stuff, my answer has always been, but we haven't won enough. There's trophies left on the table, in my opinion. Rafa said, Craig, you may have been over this, but are you fearful that if we don't win the next two Premier League games, has confidence gone? Oh, I'm absolutely shitting a brick about the Forest game, mate. For a few reasons. One, their tragedy chanting asshole fan base needs humbling. Anybody that tragedy chants and sings stuff like that needs humbling and needs putting in their place. Also, there's the sporting aspect of it, the fact that they beat us at Anfield, and fair play to them. Beat us fair and square. But yeah, it's huge. It's a big game, and it's become a bigger game because it's coming off the back of two below par performances. From the United game and the Spurs game. I fully expect us to find a way through Accrington Stanley at the weekend, but you're not going to take much confidence from that because it's not really going to be a first team squad. So yeah, I am nervous. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, mate. I'm already looking ahead to that game against Forest and got butterflies in the tummy about it. Do I believe in the Salah curse? No, I don't believe in anything that's superstitious or based off anything other than reality. It could be a coincidence, maybe, but no, I don't believe in anything like a curse or anything like that. No more than I believe I'm at fault when we lose, and people like to tell me it's my fault because I was confident on a win or something like that. Yeah, so no, I don't buy into stuff like that. Craig, if you were manager of Liverpool, would you win the league? Absolutely not. No. Not a hope. No. Look, I like to think I know my footy pretty well. I've played it my entire life, been around it my entire life, watched it my entire life, loved it my entire life. But I know nothing compared to an Arne Slot or a Jurgen or a real coach, who knows what they're talking about. I can spot the stuff I've learned from playing over the years, but the nitty gritty tactical stuff, no, mate, I'll be nowhere near. But I wouldn't even accept anything like that because I wouldn't want to hurt the club. Favourite takeaway? Pizza. Dara said, nothing wrong with having confidence. Exactly, especially when you're top of the bleeding league. Do you know what I mean? That's what I don't get about people. Why are you scared? We're top of the league. Arsenal, people are making out like they're the big bad bogey man. They're not. I don't get why people don't think we deserve to be where we are and that we can carry it on in the league. Tracy said the first team will be well rested, or should be well rested, for the Forest game, as they won't be playing on Saturday. Yeah, it didn't really stand us in good stead though, Tracy, before the United game, when some of the boys were given a few days off and they went off on a little brief holiday and stuff, and should have come back rested up for that United game, but we didn't get the performance that we were hoping for, or the energy levels that we were hoping for. And that was interesting to hear David say to me earlier on as well, that he kind of doesn't understand the narrative about fatigue and tiredness, because there's no reason they should be fatigued and tired. And he had a valid point on that, especially with the lads having some time off. What do I have on my pizza? Ham at most. I'm so boring. I'm a really plain fussy eater, so at the most just ham, if even. Okay, so that gone. Would I be happy if Elon Musk bought the club from FSG? I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel about it, because I haven't really given it any in-depth consideration. I'd have concerns. I'd have other things that I'd feel optimistic about, but I just don't think it's going to happen, so I haven't really given it much real consideration. Ryan. Hey Craig, I was thinking about the most important positions to strengthen. I think it's midfielder to rest Ryan Gravenberch and centre back and left back. Well, that's probably a very good question that we can put to the chat, Ryan, and thank you for it, mate. So, is the Kvaratskhelia stuff a PR distraction? We haven't had 1,000 votes just yet, but I want to ask Ryan's question because I think it's a very valid one. Okay, so 1 sec. Right, so to you, the guys and girls watching, what is the most important area that we need to sign a player? And I've given you 4 options: midfield, left back, centre back, or forward. What do I think of buying Gyökeres from Sporting? It's not going to happen. Like I've said multiple times on the channel, if he goes anywhere, it'll either be to Manchester United, or I think Bayern Munich we're looking at making an offer from as well, but he's of no interest to Liverpool. Do you know if Kvaratskhelia has attitude issues? Haven't got a clue. No idea, mate. Don't follow much Italian football, to be honest with you. Adrian said, feels like Kvaratskhelia links are being used as leverage in Salah contract. Oh, Adrian, I think that's a very astute take. I certainly wouldn't rule that out, my friend. Yeah. You know, because I asked myself, if I was in the club's position, would I do something like that? Would you do something like that? You know, let it be known that, okay, yes, we do want you to stay, but we also have other avenues that we could pursue. Much like we see the stories about Salah going to maybe, or PSG being interested in Salah and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think it's certainly fathomable that it could be done like that, mate, yeah. What position did I play? Goalkeeper, Mohammed, goalkeeper. Nick, how are you, my man? Would you swap Nunez for Mamardashvili this window? 100% yes. 100% yes. You know, even throw money on top of it for Kavisha Kvaratskhelia. 100% yes, mate. What about you, Nick? Would you do it yourself? Stan the Man said, Zubimendi to Liverpool. We're being used, certainly, but he's for sale from Real Madrid. It's an easy understanding as to why we're being linked with him, because we had interest in the past, but that was under a different manager who wanted the position played in a different way. So I don't think there's any truth whatsoever to us being back in for Arlie and Zubimendi. I think it's Real Madrid trying to drum up interest in a player that maybe they want to move on. Ryan said, didn't realise my question would need a poll, but appreciate it. But the truth is, Gravenberch needs the cover. We can't work him like a robot. I 100% agree. I don't want Ryan Gravenberch to become like Saka this season, where he's been over-relied upon by the manager because there aren't other options. There are, but not other options that the manager tends to trust. And then we're one injury to him away from a season maybe going off course. And I think you could mitigate that by bringing in the midfielder that we've already acknowledged we need. Who would you start as the fullbacks on Tuesday? Oh, I think back to Trent. Based off the 30 minutes we've seen from Trent, I think you'd have to say go with Trent. Personally, look, if I'm the manager, I'm probably wanting the Trent situation resolved before I know what I'm doing. But I'm going to be honest about it and think Trent will play. On the left side, you're going to have to probably go with Robbo, because you hope that rest period that we've had is going to be enough to get that good performance out of him again. And again, being really honest about it, I don't really trust Costas that much. But I also will be upfront and acknowledge that I don't think we're seeing the same Andy Robertson anymore. So Marmouche has agreed. Yeah, and Jesse, we covered that earlier on about Marmouche, and yeah, it's certainly disappointing to see so many things about it. But the important part, Jesse, I would say, is they haven't got to a number that Frankfurt would agree with. And reports from Plettenberg and some others in Germany say that Eintracht Frankfurt want €80 million or £67 million to sell Omar Marmouche in January. Would I swap Robertson with Kirkes? I'd rather swap Costas with Kirkes, because I'd like Andy Robertson kept around as a senior option, handful of games, mix it up. Yeah, that's what I'd rather. I might be a bit romantic about this, but I would like Robertson to retire at Liverpool and then be gradually phased out. And if Kirkes came in as an option, I just think I'd rather keep Robbo than Costas. That's just my take on it. MBN said, hear me out for a second. Is it me, or would the Joelinton approach work on Darwin? I think he has the energy for a box-to-box midfielder. I just don't think we have the need for a box-to-box midfielder. Certainly not one that cost us €100 million or there or thereabouts. So no, I get where you're coming from. You're not the first person to make that shout, and I don't think you'd be the last, but not for me personally anyway. Liam said, surely it's Nunez out, Kvara in. If there's a buyer there, Liam, for Nunez, yeah, maybe. The only thing that I know for certain here from reports today is that Napoli have Federico Chiesa as one of the two options to replace Kvaratskhelia should they lose him. Craig, just seen a report that Kvaratskhelia is 80 million PSG willing to 4 times his salary. Yeah, but here's the thing, right? PSG are shit. And the French league is not where it's at. And let's be honest about it. Anybody who signs for Paris Saint-Germain does it for one of two reasons. They're a French player that wants to play for the current most prominent and best paying French club, or they're just a mercenary who wants to go for a payday. Because you're not going to win the Champions League. Nobody really gives a damn about winning the French league. Let's be honest about it. You go to Paris Saint-Germain for the wedge, for the money. not to push on your career or to, cement a legacy. So if that's what interests people, and that's something that somebody wants to do, fair enough. But if it's Liverpool or Paris Saint-Germain as your two options, and you're interested in it from a footballing perspective, then you should be running to Liverpool. So yeah, that's my take on it. You don't go to Paris Saint-Germain because you have footballing ambitions to fulfill. You just don't. I think personally Chiesa was not Sloth's choice of signing. That's why he's not playing him. See, Mohamed, I'm open to that being a possibility, my friend. But what I'm not open to is then being told by the same manager or the club that we don't have space in our squad and they can't find improvements anywhere. You see what I mean? This is what does my head in at the minute, mate. Too many people in the football fan world, I believe, are too naive. The club have to say certain things. The manager has to say certain things. But we don't have to always believe everything is gospel. Because football is smoke and mirrors, cloak and daggers. It's bluffing 101. And, it's like somebody saying to you everything's grand when the house behind you is on fire. You know it's not right. But we all have to play along because, that's the right thing to do in some scenarios. But I just think people are often naive and just say, oh well, somebody said this, so therefore it's gospel. They have an agenda, though. They're not going to come out and say everything's shit and things aren't great. So yeah, that's my take on it. Don't believe everything. Sorry, I removed that V guy. Should have been removed quicker. Sorry about that. He is removed now. MBN said, also, what's the update with AC Milan and Darwin? I've not got anything new, because I think they're also weighing up a move for Marcus Rashford at the minute. So I've not got anything new on that one. But if the offer was there, as I mentioned before, I'd absolutely bite the hand off. Andy said, how much meat is on the bones of these rumours? For me, it smells like agent talks as the Zubimendi thing. For me, it sounds like a distraction for us as fans while everything else doesn't get done. If I'm being honest with you, Andy, that's my thought process on it, is I feel like it's a bit of a bluff from us to distract us as fans from feeling annoyed at what we perceive as not being enough being done. Am I any good at the darts? Not particularly. I'm bang average, mate. I enjoy it. Very social sport. It's a sport I shared a lot of time with my dad when I was growing up. Have a dartboard here in the house, but nah. Connor's a better dart player than me. Connor's quite decent at the darts. Jobo said, aka the Caicedo money. Do you know what, mate? I've said this all the way through and I'll repeat it again. I actually think that money was there. Because I look at it like this. Let's say Caicedo agreed to the deal. If FSG then backtrack on that and it doesn't get done, there's no out for them. It just, honestly, hand on heart, as much as I am frustrated with these owners and a lot of things, I've been very consistent in saying that I think that was a real offer. Because I don't see the upside of it if it backfires. If it's agreed then and you go through all that palaver about, sealed bids, midnight deadline, all that crap, and if you get the player and he's willing to come and you don't do it, can you imagine the backlash over that? Like, if that fell apart and he wanted to come? So, I've just never bought into that particular narrative. Just going in, Craig, what's going on with Kvaratskhelia? Well, I'm just finishing up, but I am going to stick out a news video in a few minutes that will go through everything in a timeline today around the situation. So keep an eye out for that one. I always do a recap these days, especially during January, on the late night stream. So give me a few minutes when I finish up and that'll be there for you. Who was the sporting director in charge for the Caicedo bid? Was it Schmadke? Yes, it was Nazar. PR stunt for what? So what I think, Stan, or what I certainly think can't be ruled out, is the contracts aren't being sorted. We haven't got a midfielder lined up by the looks of it, and fans are getting pretty antsy at the minute. Over the contracts, the stuff around Trent is getting semi-toxic. Results in the last couple of games haven't been as we would have wanted. And this would be something for our fans to latch on to as a dream. And it would drag out the window a little bit longer. You know, I'm not saying that's definitely it. I'm just saying somebody brought it up earlier on, and I can see a world where I understand why people would look at the Kvaratskhelia thing and go, yeah, maybe this is more PR bullshit. Is there any midfielders we're going for? I've not got any information on a confirmed target. No. Nor have I got any information on what exactly is going on with Martin Zubimendi and his future. That whole situation has just gone really, 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 really quiet, which you can interpret as one of two things. Either it's gone quiet because they wanted to go quiet because they're working on something they want kept quiet, or it's gone quiet because nothing's happening. Nick said Gakpo or Diaz could work as a backup to Jota. Oh, absolutely. Diaz has impressed me and frustrated me in the central role. I think what David Lynch said about the Manchester United game was absolutely spot on. I think against the back three, the idea of playing Diaz as a central striker like that wasn't as impactful or didn't work out as well for us because of it was a back three. So I think David made a really good point on that one. But other than that, I've mainly been quite pleased with Diaz through the centre. But I do feel like we're filling a gap there. You know, it's a solution to a conundrum, but not the best solution, if you get me. What else we got? Thoughts on Potter at West Ham? Certainly think it's a far better choice than Lopetegui. That never made sense to me from day one. But I think Potter at West Ham will be interesting. I'm also intrigued to see whether David Moyes goes back to Everton or not, because obviously Sean Dyche has been sacked today. Initially there was a bit of a kind of semi-joke about Mourinho, but Moyes back to Everton could be very interesting. Jobo said, precisely, these men at FSG have access to some of the best minds to help manipulate the situation they wish. I can't wait for the day they do one. Same for me, bro. Same for me. I'm fed up of their lack of interest in making us successful. I just am. And I don't want to hear the words empowerment, and I don't want to hear the words, you know, Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards, because what have they been empowered to do? You know, somebody's to blame. It's either Hughes and Edwards or FSG, but we're not doing what we should be doing. So look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go record this update video, and there'll probably be one or two new bits of information in it. So if you have been with us tonight, check it out if you get the chance. Tomorrow we have no live stream tomorrow night. As I mentioned, we're out for our Christmas dinner for the business, so I won't be here tomorrow night. Will be a preview coming out for the game against Accrington Stanley, and there'll be a news video coming out in the afternoon as well. But thank you all for your thoughts tonight and for sharing the stream with me. I appreciate you all. The poll results just before I finish up. most important position to sign is midfield, according to you guys, with 40% voting for that. Left back came in next with 27%, centre back with 24%, and a forward with 7%. So look, just hit that like button for me on the way out if you can, before you head off for the night, and I'll see you guys on Saturday. Not for the game, because unfortunately I'm missing that one, but I will see you Saturday evening. So much love, my friends, and thank you for another great stream. Appreciate you.